Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuhu. Subject Computer Science for 11th Standard C section. Chapter 10 Flow of Control Part 2. Last class we discussed these following topics: introduction, statements, and control statements. In this chapter we are going to discuss the following topics, that is selection statement, if else, nested if else, if ladder, the alternative to if else, switch statement, and switch versus if else. Let's start our class. First topic, selection statement. What is selection statement? Of course, we already discussed the theoretical part of the selection statement, the statement which makes alternate decisions depending upon the condition. In selection statement, there was a condition. Based upon the condition, a group or a single statement is skipped, and another group or single statement is executed. It depends on the condition. In this statement, in this screen, you can see that this is a definition of the selection statement. So this selection statement is also called as decision statement because it decides depend upon the condition. Decision in C++ are made in several ways. Most important way is if else statement. We choose between two alternatives, that is true block or false block. Another decision statement is also available in C++, that is called switch, which create branches for multiple alternative sections of code depending on the value of a single variable. So there are two selection statements in C++. One is if else, another one is switch statement. In this session, we are going to discuss these two selection statement of C++. So in next topic, we are going to see the first if else selection statement, that is if statement. So in this syntax, you can see if within the parenthesis there was a called expression. Expression refers to the condition and there was a true block. And another statement is also available, namely statement X. So here in this syntax you can see three lines. One is if within the expression with expression, another one is true block, another one is statement X. This statement X is always going to execute either the expression is true or false, but the true block will execute only when the expression becomes true. So we are going to see an example through the program 10.1, where we are going to see a program which explains about if statement. So open the C++ program from start menu and open the file name 10.1, first example of the chapter 10, which explains about the if statement. So select file arrow mark open or press Ctrl plus O to open a file and type the file name 10.1 C++. So of course we know the very first line of the C++ program begins with the include iostream. That is the we are including a iostream header file because without using the iostream header file we cannot use the cout and cin functions. So next one is the namespace standard, which allocates a space for the variables, and in third line we start the main function, the default function of C++ program. After that we use the open brace or opening the parenthesis in the fourth line, and we complete the we close the main function in 12th line by using the close brace. Between this 4 and 12 line there was a programs which gives the output. So here you can see there is a variable, namely age. After that we use cout function to give a message to user, namely enter your age, and we ask the question, we ask the user to enter their age, and when user enters the age value, it was accepted and stored in the variable age, which already created in fifth line by using the cin function. After accepting the age, in eighth line we evaluate the age by using if statement. So here you can see if within the parenthesis expression, that is the condition is age greater than or equal to 18. So whatever value the user given in the variable age is stored in the variable age. and we evaluate here, and if the value is greater than or equal to 18, then this true block, the statement after the if statement is called true block, will execute. If the condition is false, then this statement is not going to execute, but the 10th line, this is called a statement X in the syntax. This 10th line statement is always execute either the condition is true or the condition is false. Now we are going to see the output of this program by simply running the program, compiling and running the program by pressing F11. So here you can see the processing of C++ source file started, and an object file is created. After that we will see the output. So here you can see errors are 0, warnings are 0. Then we can see the output. Here enter your age is asked in the screen. Now I am going to enter a age value, that is 20. So when I enter the age value, this will store is going to store in the variable age, and after that evaluated, you can see you are eligible for voting. This message, that is a true block message, is executed. After that, this statement is always executed, that is statement X is also executed. So again I am going to run the program. Now I am going to give a value which by which the condition becomes false, that is I am going to give a value 15. So when the 15 is evaluated, condition becomes false, then the true block is not going to execute because the condition is false. That's why the when if statement evaluate this condition becomes false, then this true block statement simply skipped, and program flow diverted to the next statement. This statement, that is this statement is always execute. Message will display on the screen. So now I am going to see the explain the next topic, if else statement. The only difference between if and if else statement is, in if statement you can see only true block statement, but in if else statement you can see false statement also. So in the syntax you can see if expression, true block, else false block, and statement X. This statement X always execute either the expression is true or false, but this true block statement will execute whenever the expression is true. This false block is going to execute whenever the expression is false. So in this true block or false block, there is only one block is going to execute, another block will be skipped. So here in the example 10.2 we will see how if else statement execute and what will be the output. So open the C++ program, open the file 10.2. Here we are going to see the if else statement. As usual, we open iOS team name standard and main function. After that we declare two variables, namely num and rem. Here we accept a number from a user by using the cout function, and we store the value in the num variable. After that we evaluate the num by a modulus operator. Of course we know the modulus operator divide a number with another number and store the remainder, not the quotient. So whenever we divide a number, we always accept the quotient, but modulus operator will give remainder as a result. So remainder is stored in the variable rem, and we evaluate if in the rem variable in if statement. So here what we are going to do, that is this number is a even or odd. We are going to evaluate here by using the remainder of that particular number by dividing that number by 2. So if your even number is divided by 2, then it will give 0 as a remainder. If the odd number is divided by 2, then it will give remainder as a 1. So here we check in if else statement that if remainder is 0, so here we use the equality operator, that is comparison operator, and we compare the value of remainder with 0. If the condition is true, then the message, the given number, the number is even. Else, if the condition is false, if the remainder variable stores other than 0 value, then it will show the given number is odd. So here I am going to compile and execute the program by simply pressing F11. So processing starts. You can see the warning zeros and errors 0 and the output. So here I am going to enter the value 10. So the 10 is going to store in the variable num. After that, this 10 is divided by 2 and the remainder is stored in the variable rem, and rem is evaluated. You can see either even block or the odd block is going to execute. That is the either true block. This is the true block. This is the false block. False block. Yeah, either these any one of these block is going to execute. Here you can see the number is 10 even is executed. That is true block is executed because the condition is true. But if the condition is false, then this statement is the false block is going to execute. So again I run the program. Here I am going to give the input value as a odd number, that is 11. So here you can see the given number is odd, that is the false block. Condition becomes false, so that's why the false block will executed. True block is skipped. It depends upon the condition. This is the feature of if else statement. So we know how to use if, where we have only true block. See in the 10.1 we have only true block. We know how to use if else. Here we can see true block as well as false block. False block always follows with the else keyword. So next we are going to see the next topic, nested if. What is nested if? Any if statement contains another if statement is called nested. So any if statement contains another if statement is called nested if. There are three types of nested if. One, if nested inside if part. If nested inside else part. If nested inside both in if part as well as else part. So here you can see the syntax. If nested inside the if part. Here you can see if else, and there was another if else statement, but it was nested inside the if block, that is true block. So this is the first type of nested if. Here you can see the second type of nested if, where you can see if else statement, and another if else is also available, but this one is nested inside the else block. So this is the second type, if nested inside else part. Now this is the third type, where if nested inside both if part and else part. Here you can see if else. This is the outer if. We can call it as a outer if and a inner if, because so here you can see if else is available in if part as well as in the else part. This is the three type of nested if in C++ as well as in another programming languages also we use the same type of nested if. Now in the 10.3 we will see the if else statement again with the different example. So open the 10.3. Here you can see the two variables are declared, sales commission grade. We accept sales amount and store in the variable sales and accept the grade from the user, and we calculate the commission. If the sales is greater than 55,000, then the sales commission is 0.110, that is 10%. If the sales is below 5,000, then the commission will be 0.05 percentage. So now I'm going to execute this program. So I'm going to enter the value, sales value as 5,500, that is, and grade as a, and you can see the commission is 550, that is 10% is evaluated because the condition is true. So this is the condition is true. Again I am going to run the program, same program, and I am going to enter the value 4,500 and grade as a. So here you can see the commission is evaluated as 225. So this is the simple example of using if else statement, but in your program there was no example for nested if. So try the nested if yourself and create a new program using if and nested if program in as an exercise. And if you have any doubt, contact me and clear all your doubts. Now I am going to execute the explain the next topic, if else if ladder. What is ladder? Ladder is a steps to by which we can go an upside, up direction. So ladder is a multi-path decision-making statement in C++. In this type of statement, if is followed by one or more if else if statements, and finally end with an else statement. So in syntax you can see if first expression 1 and statement 1. So this statement execute when the expression is 1 is true. Otherwise it go for else. And when the expression is false, when if statement go for else, here you can see there was another if expression 2, and if the expression is 2 is true, then statement 2 is execute, else it go for the else part of second expression. And in the same way there was another if statement with expression 3, and this statement 3 will execute if the expression 3 is true, otherwise it go for else part of that particular expression 3 and execute statement 4. So this is just like a ladder. So here you can see step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. So that's why this type of if else is called as a if else ladder. Now we will see an example for if else ladder using 10.4 program. So open the program 10.4. Okay, so here in the 10.4 you can see the example for if else ladder. Uh, Here we accept a mark as an input from the user and evaluate the mark values. First we check if the mark is greater than or equal to 60. If the condition is true, then the first part, that is true block, will execute. If the condition is false, then it go for else, and there was another expression, that is expression 2 will evaluate, where we check if the mark is greater than or equal to 50 and below 60 by using the logical OR operator. If the marks between 50 and 60, then the expression 2, that is your grade is second class, will execute. If the expression 2 also falls, then it go for the expression 3 where it was placed in the third else if, where we check the mark is greater than or equal to 40 and below 50 using the logical AND operator. Here if the value is between 40 and 50, then the third statement will execute. If the third expression is also false, then it go for the last else part and execute the last statement, false block statement of else, that is you are failed. So this is just like a if ladder. So it is just like a ladder statement, ladder symbolic statement. That's why it is called as a if else ladder. Now I'm going to execute the program. First I'm going to give a value which evaluate the first statement, first expression 1. So 65, then you can see the expression 1, the first expression will be true, because the first expression will check if the mark is greater than or equal to 60. So now here you can see the given value is 65, that's why the first expression will be true and your grade is first class, will execute, other statements are skipped. Now in the same way, when we run the second same program, now I'm going to give a value as 55, because to see what will happen when the second expression will true. So 55 is the value between 50 and 60. So second expression will be executed and second statement will executed first and other statements are skipped. So here you can see your grade is second class. In the same way, now I'm going to run the program, same program. Now I'm going to enter a value as 45, because to enable the third expression, expression 3 becomes true and execute the output. So here you can see the third expression will evaluated as true and this statement, that is your grade is third class, will execute. So in the same way, I'm going to run the same program to check the last else part. If the value is 35, the value is 35, then all the expression becomes false. The first expression 1 is also false, second expression also false, third expression also false. Then it go for last part called else part, that is false block will execute, you are failed will be output. So this is the simple example for if ladder. I hope you understand the concept if else ladder. Now we are going to see the next topic called alternative to if. So there was another operator called ternary operator, which can be used as a alternative for if else statement. So in ternary operator, the symbol of the ternary operator is question mark colon. I already told you I will explain the ternary operator in the upcoming chapter when we discuss about the introduction of operators. So here we are going to see the alternative operator for ternary if else statement, that is ternary operator. The symbol of the ternary operator is question mark colon. See the syntax. There was a three expressions: expression 1, expression 2, expression 3. So the first expression will evaluate, and if the condition is true, then expression 2 will execute. If the condition is false, if the expression 1 is false, then expression 3 will execute. So this is the simple if else statement, but with a different syntax called the ternary operator symbol. So again I repeat, if the expression 1 is true, then expression 2 will execute. If the expression 1 is false, then expression 3 will execute. So we will understand this alternative statement of if, that is ternary operator, using 10.5 program. So open the program 10.5 where we use the ternary operator. Here we use three variables, namely a, b, largest, and we accept two numbers from the user and store the value in the a, b, and we will check the largest number of a, b by using the ternary operator. Here you can see the ternary operator is used here. The first expression is a greater than b. So here you can see the question mark. If the expression is true, then the second expression where we have only variable a, then a will store in the variable largest. If the expression is false, then b, which is the third expression of the ternary operator, will store in the variable largest. So you can see in largest variable there is only two options. One, either a value will store, b value will store in the variable largest. Now I am going to run the program and give the value for A and B. So I'm going to give the value 58 and 48. So 58 will store in the variable A and 48 will store in the variable B. And alternative, that is ternary operator, will evaluate A and B, and you can see largest number is 58 because the condition is true. That's why the A value is stored in the variable largest, and it was displayed on the screen. So here in the expression you can see a greater than b is evaluated. So 58 is greater than 48, that's why a value is stored in the variable largest. Again I run the program, and here I am going to give a different value for a and b. So 48 is a value, 58 is b value. Now here you can see again 58 is stored in the variable largest because a greater than b is evaluated as false. That's why the b value is stored in the variable. The b value is 58. The a value is 48. So this is the simple example of using ternary operator in C++. So next we are going to see the topic called switch statement, the condition statement. In the beginning of this lesson, I told you that there was only two type of selection statement in C++. One is if statement, another one is switch statement. So here you can see switch statement is a multi-way branching statement. It means it will evaluate a single value with different constants and check whether the constants are equal, and if the constants are equal, then it will evaluate that particular statement and other statements are skipped. So in syntax you can see switch expression. Here we are going to give a variable name, and the value of that variable is compared with the first constant. If the first constant is equal, then the block of first constant will execute. If the constant 1 is false, then it go for constant 2 and checks if the value of expression, that is variable, with the constant 2. If they are true, then first constant will skip and second constant 2 statements will execute. In the same way, it will check all constant with that particular variable. If all the constant values are false, then it will execute the default statement. So here you can see some of the rules for using the switch statement in C++. Rule number 1. The expression provided in the switch should result in a constant value, otherwise it would not be valid. It means whatever expression we are given here, going to give here, it should be a constant value, otherwise it would not be a valid. So here we want to give a standard value, constant value. It should not change any value between the execution of the program. Next one, duplicate cases values are not allowed. It means, so here you can see there are two cases we can use. Many cases can be used within the switch statement. Once the case is fixed here, the same case cannot be uh, used for second or more than one time. That is the rule number 2. So third rule is the default statement is optional. So in the syntax you can see the default statement which will evaluate when all the cases becomes false. So this default statement is optional. If you want to give, you can, but you don't want to give any default statement, they can you can omit it or skip it. So that is the rule number 3. So rule number 4, the break statement used inside the switch to terminate a statement sequence. When a break statement is reached, the switch terminates and the flow of control jumps to the next line following the switch statement. So here you can see each and every case we use at the end of the each and every case we use a break statement. See, in the first case we use break, in the second case we also use break. We use break statement to terminate the flow of the switch. So for example, if the second case value is evaluated as true and this statement is executed, after that when we use break, then this switch will terminate and the flow of program jumps to next line from here. So that's why we use break statement. The fifth point is the break statement is optional. If omitted, the execution will continue on into the next case. The flow of control will fall through a subsequent cases until a break is reached. So here in each and every case you can see break statement, but if you remove the break statement, then program will not show any error. But when you run the program, when you run the program and you imagine that the first case break is omitted, then you can see the first constant becomes true, for example, then this statement will execute. In the same way the second statement will also execute, because here in the first case the break statement is omitted, but the program didn't show any error, but it will execute the statement 1 case 1 statement also and case 2 statement also, because break may be optional, but break should be used at the end of each case, otherwise the subsequent statements, that is the next continuous statement, will execute till the switch statement see any break statement. So this is the fifth rule. Next one, sixth rule is nesting of switch statement is also allowed. So we also know the nested if, which we already discussed. In the same way we can use nested switch also. So this is the rule number 6. We will see the all the rules in the program 10.6 and understand how the switch statement will evaluate. So in the 10.6 we are going to ask a number, that is weekday number, from the user and store that number in the variable num. So what actually we are going to do is we will accept a weekday from the user and we try to display the weekday name. For example, consider the Sunday as the first day of the week. Then if the user give the value 1, then Sunday will display. If the user give 2, then Monday will display. If the user give 3, then Tuesday will display. If the user will give 4, then Wednesday will display. In the same way, if the user will give 7, then Saturday will be displayed. If the user give any number other than this weekday, that is, there was only 7 days in week. So if the user give either 0 or 8 or 9 other than these case values 1 to 7, then it will show wrong input, because all these case values, case constant becomes false, then default will execute. So each and every time switch statement evaluate the num value with the case 1, the first case, and second case, third case, fourth case. If and evaluate all the case, if any case is true, then that particular block will execute and other blocks are terminated, because we are using break at every case. So first I will run the program. You will see the output of this program. So I'm going to give the value 5. So the 5 will store in the variable num, and we will see the Thursday as the output. So what switch do? The 5 value of num is compared with the first case value, that is 1. So here the first case is false, so it go for second, and here also false, then it go for third, here also false, when it go for fourth, here also false, then it go for fifth case. You can see there was a value, constant value 5, and here in number you can also have the value 5, so both are equal, then the output is Thursday. So here we use break, that's why the break statement will terminate. So what will happen when we remove this break? So here I remove the break statement, and again I run the program, and here I am going to give a value, same value 5. So what will be output? You can see Thursday, Friday, because here we remove the break. When we run the program you cannot see any errors, so here you can see there was error 0 and warning 0, but at the time of executing the program you see an error, output error. So what is exactly doing break is a break statement is optional, but using break statement is necessary to terminate each and every case evaluation. When they to terminate the switch statement when the each and every case is evaluated perfectly. So if the value is 4, then you cannot see any error there, because when the fourth case is evaluated, the Wednesday will be displayed as output. Here we use the break, that's why the switch statement is terminated. In the same way, whenever you use any statement, any value from 1 to 7, we cannot see this error except in the case 5, because here we didn't use break. So whenever we remove break, then the statement of subsequent statement will also execute automatically. So that is the rule number 5 and 6, which we already discussed. So you should remember how to use the break statement and how to use the case value. In the same way, if you use the value, if you give a value other than this case constant values, that is 1 to 7, what will happen? You can see the I am going to give a value 8. You can see that a wrong input as a output, because default will execute, because all the case values becomes false, that's why the default will execute. So this is the default statement. You can see there was no break, because it is the end of the switch, so the switch will automatically terminate here. That's why we didn't use break. If you want you can use, but it is not necessary. In the same way, when you use default, when you remove default and run the program and give the same value 8, then you can see there was no result, but in the same way there was no error also, because default is not compulsory, it is an optional for switch statement. So these are the rules of using switch statement, which we discussed in the lesson. Now we are going to discuss the next topic. What is the difference between switch and if else? First difference. Expression inside if statement decide whether to execute the if block or under else block. Of course, there are two blocks in if. One is true block, another one is else false block. So any one of the block is going to execute and another one is skipped. But in switch, the expression inside switch statement decide which case to execute. It means there is no true block, there is no false block, there are case blocks. So there are list of series of cases in list switch. So that it means you can set any number of cases. There is no restriction for that. So any one of the cases execute, other will skipped or ignored. In the second point, if else statement uses multiple statement for multiple choices. So if else statement uses multiple statement for multiple choices. Switch statement uses single expression for multiple choices. So here in if else statement you can see multiple conditions are used and evaluated, but in switch statement only one single expression is evaluated with multiple choices. Here we use multiple statement and multiple choices. Here we use single statement or single expression for multiple choices. So this is a simple difference between the if else and switch statement. Next one is if else statement checks for equality as well as logical expression. It means here in if else statement we can use equality statement or we can use greater than, less than, greater or equal to, less than or equal to statements. But in switch case only equality statement expression will be evaluated. Other logical expressions are cannot be used in switch statement. It means in switch statement we cannot use greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, not equal to. We can use only equality. That symbol is also not used here. We are simply giving the variable value, and that variable value is compared with the case values by using the equality operator. So next one is the fourth statement, fourth difference. The if statement evaluates integer, character, pointer or floating points type or boolean data type. Switch statement evaluates only character or a integer. So when we talking about the data type, if statement evaluate all type of data type like integer, char, pointer, float, boolean. But in switch statement we can use only two type of data types. One is integer, another one is character. The fifth difference is if the condition is false, then else block will execute. In the switch statement, if the condition is false, then the default statements will execute. So this is the simple difference between if else statement and the switch statement. I hope you understand the concept of condition statement of C++ program. There are two condition statement. One is if, another one is switch. In if there are if statement, if else statement, if a nested if statement, if else later statement in switch, and we also discussed the switch statement. So I hope you understand the concept of condition statement. So if you have any doubt, contact me, clear all your doubts, execute all the expression in your laptop. If you have any doubt, clear by clear through WhatsApp questions and clear all your doubts. Prepare well for examination. Prepare the assignment, send the assignments through WhatsApp. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Best of luck.